Hey everyone, welcome back to Bell Wine Cellars. It's the end of winter and just starting spring. I just wanted to share what's going on around the winery. We just finished a bottling run. We bottled our white, rosé, pinot, and the Scoundrel Red blend. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about them. To start, the Scoundrel 2022. We're starting to put the 2022 red wines in bottle, and we start with the pinot and the red blend we call Scoundrel. So mostly Sierra Foothills fruit with a little bit of Napa thrown in. We have a little Merlot from our estate, some Cabernet from up and down the valley, but primarily some Syrah, Cabernet, Malbec, and Barbera from the foothills. We also did the 2023 Bell Napa Sauv Blanc. This time, for the first time, it actually has an Atlas Peak AVA on it. I was lucky enough to get some beautiful fruit up on Atlas Peak. High elevation Sauv Blanc. First time I worked with high elevation Sauv Blanc, so I was pretty excited, and the vineyard's beautiful. I love it. It's one of my probably my favorite Sauv Blanc I've made since I've been here, and it's beautiful. It needs another month or two to recover from bottle shock, but after that, it's going to be a beautiful wine. We also put in the Dia Pinot Noir 2022 in bottle. Silver Eagle Vineyard out in the Sonoma coast area. Rolling foothills surrounded by forest. Just beautiful spot. It's a clone from Von Romanet in Burgundy. And really excited. It's our second year with that particular vineyard. And it's top notch. Good stuff. And last but not least, the Fay Rosé. This vintage is about 65% Grenache, and the rest is Syrah, mostly from foothills again. The Grenache portion was whole cluster pressed. In our press, the whole bunches with the stems go into the press. The stems act as drain channels to allow the juice to get out quickly, so we can get it to tank and cool it down to protect from oxidation of any flavors and aromas. And then the Syrah portion, which is the minority, came from what we call a saignée, or a bleed, from the Syrah red wine tanks. When they've just been in tank long enough to have a little bit of color, that portion brings a little bit of depth and structure to the brighter fruit that came from the Grenache whole cluster press. So yeah, those are some of the wines that we've recently bottled. Right now, we've tucked away the 2023 wines to sleep for a while, and the 2022 vintage, the Cabernets, Merlot, all the Bordeaux varieties, will go in bottle in July, and we're starting to do the final work on them. Some of them needed another racking, a little hit of oxygen just to help them develop, but mostly I will be starting to work on some of the preliminary blends. We will bottle in July, but in my career, this is when the blending starts. I usually start in spring, and it goes all the way through May and June to finalize the blends, because I will be going through every single barrel in the cellar as I create those blends and sculpt those blends. As they've been aging, I have been watching them, tasting them every time we top the barrels up, and evaluating them, kind of putting them in loose groups of where I think they should be in terms of which blend they go into, which clone, whatever it might be. I am actually looking at all those pieces and forming the core. So maybe call it the 70 to 80% of what a blend will be. I've already got it in mind. And then that last 20% or so is really the sculpting. It's adding the bits and pieces, or blending things that may be intuitive and maybe not. Sometimes it makes sense, and I know, okay, here's my core, here's its strengths, here's its weaknesses, how can I improve on it? And I have some ideas already, but sometimes it's the non-intuitive ones. It's the Petit Verdot in 2% that comes into play, or a Cabernet from a different vineyard, whatever it might be, but sometimes that makes the difference and brings the wine together and creates the final blend. So it's a long process. It takes time. Also, I tend to do it in the morning before I've had my lunch while my palate is fresh. But wines this young tend to be hard to taste too much. You can get saturated. So I have to pace myself and do it over time. So the process takes a while. What else is going on? We actually have just started bud break in Napa Valley, so we'll head out to the vineyard in a minute and take a look probably at the Chardonnay, maybe the Merlot, and see the new little buds popping out. So thanks, guys. We're out here in our estate vineyard in the Chardonnay. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on out here this time of year. We have started bud break on Chardonnay. Some of the others are catching up. Cabernet will be the last one on our estate to go through bud break, but we've got vines that generally an inch or less on most vines, but some of them are a little behind. Some of the younger vines are a little bit ahead, but yeah, they've all softened and they've pushed. So we're starting to see all that right now. This time of year, what's very important is soil moisture management. We still have cover crop. As you can see, there's quite an assembly of different flowers here, different cover crop that help to take soil moisture out of the soil and give nitrogen back to the soil. So that's why these are here. And as we watch the season, watch what the weather patterns do, if we are still facing more rainfall, we'll leave the cover crop in longer to help soak up some of that moisture. Our site is a little bit wetter, so cover crop does us well. Drier sites, you probably would want to get rid of the cover crop earlier to make sure you do start the season out, the growth period, with a little bit of soil moisture. But for us, we'll be keeping it here for a bit and watching what the weather does to see if when we want to mow it and focus on the vines. You will see more than 2 buds pushing, and at that point we generally want to choose the 2 stronger ones, but also 2 shoots that will not interfere with each other. What we want is the fruit to be spread out, not touching each other, just a very even growth. And the choice early on when we come through and clean up extra shoots that we don't need is to give proper growth and balance to each vine and each spur position. So that's what's happening out in the vineyard.